So Katie, how's the Phoenix Scottsdale housing market? I know you've been our, booming house value correspondent out there.
It's still going. It's pretty busy and prices they're pretty still, they're still really high. So, and then we got the snowbird buying season. So I know some of the realtors I'm friends with are busy with a lot of the snowbirds picking up their winter homes. So not as busy as I would like it to be, but it's definitely, prices are still elevated and inventory is still pretty tight.
Industry still tough, but better industry in Arizona than Ohio for sure. So
Yeah.
happy Tuesday, everyone. Rich Swerbinsky with the Mortgage Collaborative here once again with the last week in mortgage today, our review of the week that was in the mortgage industry. Each week, I pick a different lender member of ours to be the co-host this week, and back in the co-pilot seat for probably the sixth or seventh time, Executive Vice President, People's Mortgage out of Arizona, Katie Klauss. Katie, great to see you.
Good to see you too.
And I know you're battling some voice issues, big youth sports weekend. You're probably an animated sports mom, I would guess.
Yes. Yeah. We had a soccer tournament, a basketball tournament, and a dance competition. So,
and
yeah,
you have
and we won everything, which is not normal. So it's not normal to win a lot, and we won everything. So there was a lot of excitement, a lot of screaming. So, like I said, I miss the good old days when I used to lose my voice at a loud bar. Now I'm just, I'm not an angry sports mom, though. I just want to clarify that.
Not angry and passionate, two different things. So, and three kids, right?
Two.
And what ages?
7 and 8.
Oh boy. So yeah, goodbye to your life for the next 6 years.
I know. Tell me about it. I need a weekend from my weekend. And then and next week, I'm going to have my voice. It's going to come back, and then we're going to be at the TMC conference, and I'm going to I lose it every single conference. So I'll sound like this again next week.
The weekend before all this was the Super Bowl in Arizona week, and you had the Waste Management. I know you're one of those people throwing beers on the green of the 16th hole every year. So
I was bummed. I went Wednesday and Thursday, and the streaker came out on Friday, so we missed him. I was so upset. I was there back-to-back days, and our hole was the one where he started on 16 and they let him run all the way to 17 and then jump in the lake. That's right by where our box is. So I really missed the show. I was very sad about it, but yeah, it was super busy. Super Bowl open. It was very chaotic around here.
And you got Matt Ishbia owns your basketball team now. What the hell's going on? It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't really want to talk about that one. I should have put that on my list of things I don't want to talk about.
Yeah, it's we won't put you through that torture. Yeah.
I like that we have Kevin Durant though. It's just he needs to start playing because everyone's paying more and more for tickets, thinking the next game's going to be his game, and he still hasn't gotten out there and played. So I like that move. I'll give him credit for getting him on the team, but that's about it.
Very aggressive move. And KD, if he's on the court, he's as good as you get, but that's kind of been the problem. So
yeah,
it'd be interesting to see what happens. So let's go ahead and get into it. As always, everybody knows by now, any comments, questions, jokes, thoughts, throw them in the chat of the Q&A, and we'll incorporate it into the show. Katie, let's start. FHA MIP reduction, probably a little later than we thought, maybe not what exactly the makeup of it, but I'll just start there. Your thoughts on that?
I think it's great. And in fact, I was on a show. I don't know if it was this one, if it was with Rich, one of these a year ago. I think we talked about benefits for and against. And so I was trying to go back and figure out how long it had been since we'd had that conversation, but I'm really excited. I think it's great. They needed to do something, and I think they reduced it. We would have liked to have seen a bigger reduction, but I know they're big on protecting the fund. And I think they striked a good balance between passing along a benefit to the first-time home buyers or low-income buyers, and also protecting the fund so that they made sure that there's enough money in there for when they need it. So we're excited between that and the AMI LLPAs. We're seeing some good things that are really starting to benefit low income and first-time home buyers. So we think it's a good thing, and hopefully we see some business come in, and we still have affordability issues, but at least something to, try to get people into homes or get them qualified to buy a home.
Yeah, good stuff. It was over a year ago. I remember you were on co-hosting the show and we were talking about, because I think it
Yeah.
was over a year. That was when I think when the news was released that the MMI fund was at like 5 times the limit it had to be. And here it took a while, but I think, in my mind, yet now we have a president that is now he's in the re-election cycle. So probably a little bit more attention to budget and how you're paying for things than at the beginning when you're paying back all the people that paid for your campaign.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and we haven't seen even in the market, there hasn't been a lot of defaults. People are still making their mortgage payments and there's equity in their homes and the risk is not so high that, I think there were more arguments for making the cut than not making the cut at this point. So I'm super glad that they did. It was kind of funny though. We had been talking about it to your point for so long that when it actually happened, I was kind of taken back, like, oh wait, this actually happened. It's actually going into effect. Like, that's awesome. Now people are, kind of scrambling to figure out how, procedurally how we're gonna make sure that that's ready to go. March 20th, I think, is when loans closing. So we're excited. We're hoping it brings in some business.
Good stuff. Can you ever remember a time in your career in the industry where like 1 or 2% in interest rate would have a bigger impact on the purchase market than right now?
No, it's been
I think it's
crazy.
huge, right? Like it's so like honestly, if we were to get 1.5% reduction, we saw it in Jan, right?
Yeah.
Start to bleed down, and apps were up big time, and then reversed in Feb, and we kind of got the opposite. But it's just a weird dynamic what's going on, and it's so rate sensitive right now.
It really is. And it is a little crazy, like how long it feels like it's gone. I think just because it was so busy and it took such a, quick slowdown. And so to your point, like we had an uptick last month when rates dropped and then rates went up all of a sudden. And now it's like everyone's screeching the brakes again. So it's interesting to see how rate sensitive everyone is. And how it makes such a big difference in people getting nervous about getting into the market and kind of waiting. It also creates a lot of uncertainty because our borrowers keep thinking that the rates are going to go down. So everybody is still waiting. And when you see these small dips happen, people hold out longer because they're, thinking that they're going to dip. And at some point, you just got to get into the market if you want to get into the market. So get your house and try to, refi as soon as rates do come down.
Yeah, with a house, a percent, like it shouldn't be, right? Like, if the house is the right one for you, then, on the margins, if you can't afford it without it, then it's a different story. But it is interesting right now. You noted earlier, delinquencies are about at all-time low levels in the industry. People have gobs of equity in their houses. Employment is robust. People are working and making money, the biggest predictor of just mortgage payments. And there is a demand for housing, and there's just so many people on the sideline right now, right? You got to see it in Arizona even more than I'm seeing it here in Ohio.
Yeah. Well, I since I'm from Ohio, I know I always like to look and see kind of where you guys are at to try to convince my husband to move back, which he'll never do in a million years. But we always think about it. And there's not a lot of inventory, at least in the Columbus area, for, the homes that we were looking at. The inventory there is low. It's low, by me, and the prices are still incredibly elevated. And it is crazy what 1% of a rate can do to people's payment. So I understand why people are hesitant about getting into the market, but I don't think that the prices are going to come down. There's just not enough inventory. It's the same story. I'm sure you've talked about week in and week out. There's just not enough inventory where those home prices are going to fall. So as rates come down, who knows what's going to happen to the sales prices that, at that point. So
Mike Call, MGIC, we see you in the chat. Go Bucks. Transplanted Buckeye, but it's still a Buckeye.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a great article I just read this morning. It's from National Mortgage News, penned it this morning. It's called "No Easy Way Out of the Structural Housing Shortage," and it really is worth the read. If you look at this, and Katie, you and I have been talking about it on this show for I think I predicted it like around this point, it's going to really start to cause some problems because nothing is being done to help more affordable single family homes get built. the homes that fall off the earth every year that are demolished, they're knocked down to be built for something else. They're the smaller homes, most typically.
Mhm.
This is just a problem that is kind of compounding itself. And yeah, I don't, we've talked about this, but your thoughts?
Well, something that's interesting too is the shipping containers. There's been all kinds of things we've talked about over the last few years, manufactured houses, tiny houses. Like now they're talking about, there's our governor, I think, went to something where they were talking about making homes out of shipping containers. But the price point on one of those homes was still, in my mind, astronomical for what you're going to spend. Like if I'm going to spend that, I don't want to spend it on a shipping container that's basically been made into a home. So it's just one of those things where I don't know if people have to change their viewpoints on what their affordability will get them, but it is crazy some of these things that people are looking at doing and the price point still on those types of homes. And then one of the things that you had sent is like the apartments and the rents coming down. So I was wondering this morning, I was thinking about it, like we have so many, I don't know about, throughout the country, but here in Phoenix, specifically in Scottsdale, I mean, there's a whole street up and down that is all luxury apartment buildings going up. It is crazy how many
All
of
the
them
people
are
that used to live in Cleveland and
there.
Pittsburgh and
Yeah, exactly. All the people that are moving here.
I'm going to Phoenix and getting an apartment because I cannot take my 50th Cleveland winter in a row.
Well, you should. Well, actually, it's supposed to rain tomorrow, so people are freaking out around here. But it's just one of those things where how many people want apartments, and at what point do those possibly turn into condos or something? Like, can we turn those into a multifamily unit where people can have they can own instead of renting? Like, why do they all have to be luxury apartments? So I was just wondering, like, at what point, if rents are going to go down and they don't see the benefit of keeping an apartment, would they be able to turn those into actual places people could start building equity in?
I think I think that's some pretty good foresight. I think you're going to see that happen just as, you get another couple of years down the road and the demand maybe for luxury apartments is less and the need of just, hey, I freaking need somewhere to live because I'm fleeing the Midwest is more. And I think you could it's going to be something because, it takes a year to build, 9, whatever, with the start of the process, 8, 9 months to build a home. 0 is being done or being talked about. So forget about anything for a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely 2 years. Think about how bad the problem's going to be there. So you're going to start to see, in my opinion, things like that, right? They're going to have to, if it's the manufactured or or shipping container homes or, we've seen like the homes that the cranes drop in that are like the modular.
Yeah.
Seen those before. It's going to be fascinating to see how this all evolves because I think there's a huge underlying demand for people that want new housing.
Yeah. There's got to be an incentive too to build more affordable homes. Like every developer, and even in the apartments, they're all luxury. They all have like bells and whistles and fancy things. And so I just out of curiosity was looking it up since I haven't, been in the market for an apartment building. But I had let's see, 1,500 matches for a 2-bedroom apartment in Scottsdale between $1,800 and $5,100 a month.
Oh my Lord. Wow.
So it's like, that's not affordable for the average, person.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you're paying 3 G's, 4 G's essentially a month for just a regular size 2-bedroom in Scottsdale.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just not feasible for an average person to afford that. So there needs to be more of a focus on how you can build something, even if it's apartments, that's more affordable for people than that.
My first apartment, I want to say it was like $295 a month or something, $390. It wasn't maybe in the greatest neighborhood. I was just, but long way from 3,000-4,000.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we paid I think it was like 900 for a 3-bedroom. I feel like my parents when I say these kinds of comments back in 2005, and it had a pool. And that was all it had. I didn't need, a community house and a workout facility and a pickleball court and an equestrian center and a bar and whatever else they put in these things. Like, can we just build homes is kind of how I feel, or somewhere for people to live.
What's the shipping container bar in Austin on Rainy Street? If anybody knows the name of that bar, throw it in the chat. I love that place. It's very cool. It's like two shipping containers stacked on each other. But
It's amazing what they can do with those things.
really is
It
cool.
really is cool.
Yeah. There's a surplus of them. They're very sturdy. They resist weather. I think there's something there. Honestly, I think if we're hosting the show again a couple of years from now, we're going to be talking about this. Is something there's going to be like a GSC product for it, maybe.
Yeah, hopefully.
Let's see. Container bar. Thank you, Angie. Duh.
I was going to say that's kind of self-explanatory. You should have thought of that one.
Count on Angie Scarfino for bar trivia, TMC member engagement team member extraordinaire. This is the last week in Mortgage Today. I'm Rich Swerbinsky with the Mortgage Collaborative. This week, joined by the Executive Vice President of People's Mortgage Company, Katie Klauss. Katie, the Black Knight ICE mega merger of top two software systems in the industry. There's been some murmurs that it's been getting, some FTC attention, and then there was a piece written yesterday actually that seemed to intimate that there was some knowledge that this was not likely to go through in its current form. We saw another piece that was more of a leak piece like a week or so ago, basically saying Black Knight's looking to sell Empower separate, maybe to preserve the ICE deal. Your thoughts on this potential mega merger?
I mean, I don't love mega mergers in general. I like choices. If people have choices, and monopolies and stuff drive up prices. The other problem that I see is a lot of times when they merge, you lose what their core, principle is. Like they're good at one thing, and then as they merge into lots of other things, they just get worse at what their product is, as opposed to specializing in one thing. So I'm not huge on any kind of huge merger like that really affects kind of multi areas of the industry. I think it's good to collaborate and work with each other, but I don't like when one company would own kind of everything. It doesn't give enough options, and sometimes some of the smaller players don't get as much say when there's only one person doing everything. Like you even see it now with Encompass. If you want to customize it, you have to do everything yourself, because all the changes that are made are done with, everything has to be done kind of so that it universally fits. And that's not how everybody operates.
The second you buy that system, they're like, who's this? Oh, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. People's Mortgage. Oh, you bought our system 2 days ago.
Yeah. How much do you close? No, we're going to put that on our roadmap for you.
Well, I know, members keeping an eye on this story. Obviously, there were a bunch that were looking at going from Encompass maybe to Empower. And then, you hear about a merger. Most members are at that point kind of maybe putting the brakes on that. So to your point, I think, our members in whole, what we're hearing from them is we'd love to see the two systems stay separate and compete against each other, right? Because that's what's best for us as a buyer and ultimately our consumers.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
We talked a little bit about the apartment rents, but crush of new apartment supply rent hitting the market, driving some rent prices down. This is a reversal from the trend that we've seen there, and could help affordability and housing in general. I know, but to your broader point, you hit on earlier, it's like at the end of the day, you need a certain core level of affordable single family homes in America. And, it feels like that is under some strain potentially.
Yeah. And it also feels a lot like when inventory was opening up and, people were talking about houses coming back on the market and, a flood of houses hit the market. Oh, so we went from 2 to 4, right. Look at the statistics and look at
biggest increase in 30 years. Right?
Yeah. So apartment rents have gone down. I don't know what the statistic was, like 5% or whatever, but now instead of paying $19.79, I think it was $19.42. That's still a lot for a monthly rental payment. So I think you still have the problem. It's good. Don't get me wrong. Things are trending in the right direction, but it's just the affordability is still not there anywhere. And I think it might get better because I know like in Phoenix alone, we're supposed to have 47,000 units coming on in the market. So that's a substantial amount of units that are coming on. So we'll see what it does, but I just don't know how much, even if you have that surplus, how much are rents actually going to come down to make it affordable for people?
You know, it's like out there, you could build all year round. Like
Yeah.
here, you can't build now, you know, I mean, you can maybe move some things forward, but just another challenge, I think that the places with the most affordable housing, you know, in the Midwest, typically, it's just going to be the builders. They'd rather be in Arizona to begin with. It's bigger houses and more demand, right? And it's Ohio, smaller and less. And so I hope that doesn't exasperate the affordability issue in places where, you know, you have a lot of, you know, kind of middle class people.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of it is some of, cities like us where you already are short on housing supply and or apartments for rent. And then, they're opening up like the microchip plant. Well, that's going to employ, thousands of people. They're all going to come in from, other places. You need a place to put them. So as the city grows, even though we have surplus coming onto the market, you also have all of these employment, opportunities and economic opportunities that are bringing people here. So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, good business
Yeah.
climate out there. Companies are relocating to states like Arizona, and yeah, all it does is stoke, right, housing demand, because you move the headquarters, ABC company out there. You're bringing people and their families, and they need shelter.
Mm-hmm.
This is the last week in Mortgage Today. I got about 7-8 minutes left this week with People's Mortgage Executive Vice President Katie Klauss. Katie, a couple acquisitions in the news this week. Mutual of Omaha Mortgage acquired Keller Williams Keller Mortgage. I thought that was newsworthy in that the realtor-owned mortgage company. It was like the big, 6-7 years ago. They all started on different models, and then here we are later. Like even after the two greatest years ever. For the mortgage industry, it just seems like the realtor-owned mortgage company, it just doesn't work.
Well, and it's been further complicated by FHA loosening their, allowance on dual compensation. So now we have a lot more of where we were saying, you can't be a real estate agent and a loan officer. Now you can. So there's a lot of people who are trying to do both. And the people who do both sometimes aren't successful at it because you're not proficient in either one of those. So if you're really good at one thing, normally you don't have to do something else on the side. So yeah, it's complicates things and makes it kind of messy when people are trying to do the real estate side of things and the broker and or loan officer side of things. But it's something we've all talked about and we all look at.
Is that something you're starting to see happen with regularity in Arizona?
The discussions about doing both.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was big then, with the boom and volume, nobody really needed it. And now it's coming back where people.
That doesn't surprise. It makes perfect sense, right? I mean, if you're a realtor or a loan originator, I mean, you could probably, if you're good at one, you could probably do the other with mild training. Technology makes it easier for people now. So yeah, I mean, that's probably a trend we're going to see continue.
Yeah, I assume so. I like professionals though, so I want like a really good real estate agent
in the industry
and a really good loan officer.
Yeah, I mean, that's not what those of us in the industry that run companies want. Certainly for all the obvious reasons, but that's probably, it's like your shipping container. I think you're making some very prophetic predictions on this show today that we're gonna be unearthing the tape of a year from now. And
I think people are just trying to do whatever they can to bring in business. I'll be a real estate agent or income. I'll be a real estate agent. I'll be your loan officer.
And then I'm gonna go deliver your Chipotle to your neighbor.
Yeah, exactly. I'll offer you a non-QM buy down, construction loan product, reverse mortgage, any of it.
Honestly, I mean, I've been talking with Chrisman about this, but the whole the whole people will not stop spending money in America thing. I really believe that it's a side, kind of like a side hustle byproduct. Like people are just, it's easier for people to earn money in different ways that isn't as reportable as the classic, payroll or payrolls and jobs reporting system in America.
Yeah, for sure. I would like people to stop spending money too. I've been saying that for a while.
Then we had CoreLogic acquired Roostify, one of the bigger point of sale providers. some murmurs that they could be potentially a takeout for an Empower. It would seem to make sense. Any thoughts on any of that madness?
I think it's interesting. It explains why my customer service at one of those companies hasn't been so good the last few weeks. But I mean, I love CoreLogic. They have a lot of good data. If they wanted to get into the space, I can see why they would have joined with Roostify. It just brings me back to the point of like, people do good things, and is this going to be beneficial for people, or are they going to leave their core business to focus on something else, and then their core business, suffers as a result of it? So I'm also curious to know what they're going to do. That, they're saying they're going to make it a better overall process for the borrower. And I'm wondering what how CoreLogic fits into that point of sale kind of software that they think is going to be so revolutionary. So I'm interested to see, what they come up with through the acquisition.
You kind of see this, like it was a slow year last year, and then we got a little like glimmer of hope, and then and at least in my history, like those cycles in the mortgage industry, you see a lot of M&A follow. Like, certainly we've had a lot the last year and a half or so, but it was the first thing that came to my mind when you saw some of the news on M&A deals that came up this week. Maybe the people are like, hey, see how Q1 goes. Like, it's maybe that they're on the fence if they want to, throw in the towel or sell or whatever. And then you get a little bit better start to the year. And then it's like the deflating effect of, we had it was looking good. And then, it kind of fell off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been not going so well for a while now. So
if people are as a leader, just managing people and, obviously any words for the wise on just, like the first couple months of this year and things you've had to lean on or things that you've employed that have been successful with the culture you guys have at People's?
I think one of the problems that we have is that people like to be busy and they like to have things to do. And it's always amazing to me when you slow down how people make more mistakes because they're not focused.
Very true.
So just really getting people to focus on the tasks at hand. We have been doing what I'm sure a lot of people are doing, which is looking at who our vendors are, what our products are they beneficial? Are there ways that we can do it better with somebody different? How do we cut costs? Also looking at automation. Is the automation what it says it is? Is there an ROI if we switch to this? So it's been tough. I was trying to, because I went through, I was here through the crash. And so we got real small and shrunk and then grew. And for some reason, it didn't feel like it feels now. I think it's because we were so busy and then we went to being so slow. But it is, it's nice to see like the little upticks that happened in January, because it reminds you like the business is coming. People who don't want to be in the business are starting to get out of it, leaving, people who have been professionals. Our loan officers who have had good relationships and a lot of purchase business, they really haven't seen a hit in the business. It's still coming in, maybe not at the levels that it has, but they're still closing decent volume every month. So just kind of riding the wave to get through it and keeping everybody's spirits up. And then, we had more people coming to the office and we're pretty goofy. So we've had a lot of time to have a lot of fun around here. So
Klauss, we did a very famous about a year ago at our conference, a debate on the merit. We had three candidates. I was the moderator. We did it like a presidential debate. Katie defended work from the office. We had Jody Hall defended the hybrid, and we had Craig Ungaro from Annie Mac defended work from home. I still get a lot of nice comments about that session. It was
that session was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of
Same
fun.
shenanigans happening over here, guys. So although I broke someone's drone because they were flying it in front of my office and they were doing like a drone race and the thing was really loud. So I just took a ball and threw it at it and I actually hit it, knocked it out of the sky. It was a lot of drama.
Oh, too funny. And looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah, for sure.
TMC San Diego. Looking forward to catching up in person, and it may be an adult beverage in the mix at some point over those 4 days.
Or 10. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, Katie, thank you as always for always answering the bell. Really appreciate your membership and always agreeing to participate in this show and other sessions. Greatly appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. We'll see you soon.
And to our attendees, thanks as always for joining us. We're here every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern with the last week in Mortgage Today. And so until next Tuesday, have a great rest of the week, everyone. Take care. Bye, Katie.
Bye.
This weekend.